Hello there, YouTube. This is the Handsome Crayon, and I'm back again with another fan fiction reading. This is a redo of Chapter 9. It is really late at night. Uh, well, I guess not too late. I originally did this on Tuesday because of how my schedule is, so videos might be coming out on Tuesdays now. Uh, basically, didn't like the way the chapter turned out, so redoing this. By the time I upload it, it should be Wednesday, so that should be normal. But the rest of them might be on Tuesdays. Only time will tell. The reason I didn't upload last week, like I said in the previous video, I was out of town. Alright, so without further ado, let's begin. This is Graphs by Mozzarella, Chapter 9, Overturn. Quote, either you dash the rainbow, or the rainbow dashes you. End quote. The contestants were still trickling into the lounge at a maddeningly slow pace. It was the opinion of the event's co-host that there be a bulletin point on the flyer telling everyone to arrive early. To which Vinyl Scratch replied, Dude, why? For two reasons. Everyone, because there were other flying creatures in Equestria that were not necessarily equine. Second, so this exact situation would be avoided. Cloud walking was just starting to catch on, so not all Pegasi were too comfortable with earth ponies and unicorns invading in previously unreachable heavens. Even if their hoofholds were precarious at best, there were mumbles among the crowd. Weird and earth pony were popular terms to bring up, evidently. Typical, replied Octavia under her breath with a roll of her eyes. Not only were the concerns with the species of their co-host, but they were also perplexed by her demeanor. Flight competitions were dominated by those laid-back types who couldn't bring themselves to care about messy hair, manners, or bathing. The prim and proper ponies before them could only be described as a culture shock. The mayor counted down with each head that entered. She'd gone and remembered their final turnout just for this occasion. Some pony had to be the organized one, and it sure as hell was not going to be Vinyl. Just four more, and they're all... Just four more, and there they are, finally. Octavia cleared her throat and waited for everyone to quiet down. One brown Pegasus in particular would not cease his jabbering. A quick dose of the evil eye put a stop to that. Good evening, everyone, said the gray pony with the melodic voice from atop a box. I'm glad we all could make it. We've got a number of things to take care of before the show can begin. So just give me your attention for a bit. The issue of your flight order will be taken care of without opening. A 20-lap race around the stadium track. Each pair must decide who will fly and who will wait with the audience. The one who finishes first will perform last, second will perform second to last, and so on. The room erupted into whispers, presumably concerning which pony would be flying. Of course, they may have simply taken the time to chat now that their supervisor had permitted them to speak. Pegasi just loved to run their mouths. Do you want to do it? Asked Ash. Blitz shrugged. Doesn't really matter to me. Pretty sure we're on the same level. Do you think you'll have another feigning episode? They don't seem too bad anymore. Just little headaches when I see or think sometimes. Not too sure though. Heh, I'll take it then. Wouldn't want you falling all the way. That would suck, he said, nodding. No water down there either. Yeah, I get it. Could have done without that though. Behind them, two ponies were listening inconspicuously to the discussion. Crap. Sorry. Throat's been a little dry. Despite their popularity among the crowd, Spitfire and Soren managed not to be noticed by any more than their supposed fans. It's not as if the mayor's bright yellow coat stood out in a sea of vibrant colors, but one might expect at least a couple of ponies to pay attention to faces. They couldn't bring themselves to care, though. They were both frantically agreeing with each other. I'll do it, whispered Soren hurriedly. At the same time, his partner mumbled, You should do it. Yeah, your part's harder than mine. You should save your energy. You are always good at those distance races. All right. Their eyes darted around the room, avoiding each other like the plague. The blue stallion's head sagged forward. This is messed up, isn't it? I mean, we're drooling over those two. At least it's both of us, said Spitfire with uncertainty. It doesn't help if we're both equally crazy, deadpan Soren. Plus, what if they're together? That's gross. They're like brother and sister or something. How do you know? She gave him a flat look. Look at them and tell me they're not related. The noise was starting to die down. It seemed their chance to speak was coming to a close. Spitfire looked her partner in the eyes. Okay, I won't get in your way if you don't get in mine. He nodded. And if it doesn't work out for either of us, we don't have to talk about it ever again. Psst. I don't mess up. Shut up with that. You're just as nervous as I am. Please, I'm hot and famous. Why would I be nervous? He raised an eyebrow. Okay, then lower your wings. Unless you're getting ready to go fly, in which case you won't get to flirt with Rainbow Blitz. The mare's face scrunched up as she looked back behind her. Sure enough, her wings were standing at attention. Damn it! She sat down on her haunches and took a deep breath. Slowly but surely, the offending appendages retreated to her sides. Fine, I'm feeling like a starstruck schoolgirl. You're no better. True, but I know how to flex a muscle when I start feeling one of those coming on. Keeps everything under control. Stallions are disgusting, she muttered, not quite as victorious in that discussion as she would have liked. Love you too, babe, responded Soren cheekily. He then found Soren's hooves where his lungs should have been. The talking luckily lasted long enough to cover up his wheezing, as the remaining conversations were finishing with nods or rolling eyes. Octavia prepared her next bout of instructions. The one participating in the race will follow me in a moment. The others will be free to move around in the stadium. Next, I have a few guidelines for all of you. Should you not place how you would like in this competition, whining will do little to improve your rank. Acts of sabotage will be punished as swiftly and severely as legally possible. Seeing as you all signed waivers, that leaves quite a bit of wiggle room there. Her strict gaze swept over the colorful sea of heads below her. The sound of fearful gulps were clearly audible. You may not change the soundtrack you've selected. The rights to use those songs were painful enough to obtain with several days' notice. When your performance is finished, you will exit the stage. Despite the audience's cheers, they do not, in fact, want an encore. I do believe that covers about everything. Any questions? What is this? Kindergarten? One stallion muttered. Octavia's eyes immediately shifted to the speaker, thinking it made enough ice to make the center of Celestia's sun livable. Excuse me? The victim stammered. I mean, when is this starting? The everypony smile told him he would be spared a painful demise. Why, I do believe it has just begun. One might think that leaving an expensive dirigible alone on a cloud with nothing but a few ropes to keep it there is foolish, and they would have been justified in thinking that. Despite the idealistic appearance of Equestria, crime was not unheard of. If something was left in public and made easy to steal, odds are it would not be there to meet its owner in an hour. But Twilight didn't worry herself with that statistic. She figured that a bunch of Pegasi would have no use for a flying machine. It would also be difficult to stow away a stolen hot air balloon. Saving that logic, she had no problem leaving it on the clouds surrounding the Cloudaceum. The numerous wards, alarms, and tracking spells placed on it also helped with her insecurities. Come on, girls, squealed her pink friend. It's gonna start soon! She hopped haphazardly about the nebulous trail they were following to the gate. Behind her trailed a trio of spare balloons tied to her tail. Conversely, one of Twilight's old habitual ground-bound friends crept forward with the utmost caution. I simply don't see how you're so carefree up here, Pinky. We must be higher than the Canterlot Peak right now. Despite her apparent concern, the white unicorn refused to blemish her appearance with an unsightly parachute. She made a decision to come naked, and she intended to stick to it. Aw, Ain't that cute? You gone and got yourself a fear of heights, quipped her farming friend who confidently trotted past her. I don't recall you having an experience falling from the sky, so please forgive me if a near-death experience has an effect on me. Rarity was having trouble discerning the plush texture of her path from potential pitfall to equestrian surface. Don't you trust Twilight? Not like she's the one that melted your wings mid-flight. The aforementioned unicorn intervened as it was customary when those two were in close proximity. Now, enough bickering. Rarity's right. Some semblance of cautious is important when using any spell. Also, this is the time of day when things start to get hard to see. Behind her, Rarity most certainly did not stick her tongue out at Applejack. It would have been uncouth. There was no way that Applejack got a good look at the Festinicia's tongue. And even if she did, no pony would ever believe it. But don't let that worry you, the librarian went on. We're here to have a good time. Applejack did stick her tongue out. Definitely. The only pony biologically equipped to traverse the nebulous terrain, however, hovered beside her friend's narrow walkway. You seem much more positive, Twilight. Are you okay? She sighed and looked down at her hooves. They sank quite a ways into the cloud before the magical tension snapped into existence with each step. I've just had a lot on my mind recently. I can't do anything about it, but forget it. So, that's what I'll do. Are you sure you don't want to talk about it? Asked Fluttershy, feeling concerned. No, Twilight shot back too quickly. The Pegasi was nearly knocked out of the sky by the force of the response. Sorry, no, I don't want to discuss it right now. I'll deal with it some other time. Hopefully never, but we're here to have fun tonight, right? Oh yes, Rarity thought with a devious grin. So much fun. The grin was interrupted by a particularly deep step that sent her stumbling. She felt a bit less terrified when she and her friend set hoof on the stadium entrance. If anything could convince a builder to ensure safety in a structure, it was a potential lawsuit. A second potential lawsuit, that is. A tired and distracted teenager took their tickets and let them in. He seemed incapable of showing them who their seats, seeing as how his answers were all simple questions with an uninspired, I was asking, said Twilight through gritted teeth, where we could find our seats. He blinked 4 times before finding the will to answer. I don't know, he said without moving his mouth much. It ended up sounding like an, Rarity hurried them along before some pony got bludgeoned to death, either the hapless teenager at the hooves of Twilight or the group at the hooves of the impatient crowd. By the looks of this operation, it seems we can simply pick any seat, the white unicorn said as she produced a hairbrush from Celestia knows where, and put her fellow unicorn's hair back into place. Pinky began to jump up and down, or rather, jump higher. Ooh, let's go to the front row. We'll be able to say hi to Dashi. We might also be able to see somebody else crash. Yes, well, the pony posse skipped the stairwell and headed straight down the archway towards the arena. The roar of thousands conversing grew until it was impossible to hear Pinky's babbling. Okay, not impossible, but one was capable of ignoring it. Pegasi of all colors dotted the stadium. Some held signs on painted letters that spelled out words of encouragement or derision. There were many more seats than Twilight had remembered seeing at the Best Young Flyers competition. No longer were their seats simply clouds scattered around the center. Those appeared to have been moved inward to be used as props. Now wide terrain of seats to accommodate large crowds that were slowly pouring in. Oh, this is much nicer, the yellow Pegasi shouted, only because no pony else could hear her otherwise. We don't have to hop around to get a seat. But, added the farmer, we ought to hop along to the front before we get stuck with a spot on the moon. Come on, girls. They trotted gingerly down the steps to the lowest and smallest ring. Suddenly they found out it had been blocked by lengths of red rope. A sign hung from it saying, "Contestants only." Now why in Equestria would they do that? Complained Twilight. The other unicorn nodded. Indeed, I thought the contestants would be flying, or waiting to fly within the stadium. This is certainly odd. Well, what did you expect? Asked one stallion behind the ropes as he turned around. Us VIPs need to be able to jump right into the action. He briefly turned away before turning right back. Oh, hey girls. Glad to see you can make it. Pinky waved a hoof frantically in the air as if it would be hard to see. Hi, Blitzy! Hi, Dashy! Rarity gently pulled the Earth Pony's foreleg back to the cloud. Dear, Rainbow Dash isn't there. Hello, Blitz. Indeed, he was alone, and taking advantage of the fact by spreading his forelegs out behind the neighboring seats. What? Twilight said in a loud voice that was luckily justified by the background noise. Where is she? Did something happen? I told them something would happen. Do they listen? No, of course not. They think Twilight is crazy. Well, is she crazy now? Guess she's probably crashed into a ditch and this jerk left her there. Oh, when I get my hooves on him, I'll... While she had her mental breakdown, Blitz shook his head, smiling. Nah, everything went awesome. She's just gonna fly for us in the opening event. Probably over at the pit, stretching. Oh, remarked Twilight feebly. She was both relieved that her friend was not hurt and disappointed that Blitz was not a crazed hit pony. It would have saved her a lot of grief. Well, I hope you had a good time. Don't worry, we had a great time. His grin would have been telling to any competent pony whose mind spent an hour or two in the gutter. Pinky laughed, Rarity and Applejack glared, and Fluttershy hid her face. Twilight was a tad too distracted to get any sort of innuendo being thrown at her. Best let that little remark go over her head, lest she cover the hapless creatures below with her vomit. Oh, phooey, the white unicorn complained, and here I thought I could entertain myself a little more to you. Blitz shrugged. What can I say? It got boring. And then really fun. For y'all, maybe. Applejack cantered around her friend to take a seat. File in, File in, every pony. I think they're getting ready. A yellow blur flew past them. A yellow blur flew by them as they sat down, nearly kicking off the farmer's favorite hat. It stopped on a dime and gently floated down to the seat next to Blitz. She plucked a piece of popcorn from her red and white bag and tossed it in her mouth. Did I miss anything? She asked while chewing. Nah, Blitz answered. I don't think we'll ever get started. He looked over at her and pointed to his mouth. The mare responded by throwing some of her popcorn into it. Thanks. This time, the members of the pony posse wore identical expressions. Expression that said, Did I miss something? Rarity leaned to whisper into Twilight's ear. Since when did he get so chummy with a Wonderbolt? Said Wonderbolt inched a little closer to Blitz than she needed to be. There was plenty of room in the roped-off section, so why would she go and get so close as to practically lean on him? He made no effort to move his forelegs. I have no idea, the purple unicorn answered. Just as quickly as Spitfire appeared, another blur shot past Applejack. This time, the hat came off, and a glare more powerful than 1,000 suns shot from the owner to the back of the culprit's head. Unfortunately, it only made contact with the yellow messy mane, and not the eyes that could feel the awesome wrath directed at her. Excuse you? The mare practically growled. Lightning Dust turned around confused. No pony was paying much attention to her, save for the one that looked like she wanted to kill her. What? She asked. Her face didn't seem to look apologetic. My hat, Applejack said flatly, maintaining the evil eye. The Pegasus examined the top of her head, confused. You're not wearing a hat, she concluded right before turning herself forward. Applejack rolled her eyes. It seemed that this one had the awareness of an overcooked biscuit. Still scowling and picking up her hat, dusting it off, and replanted it on her head. Some ponies just don't know how to act, the farmer said to her purple-haired friend. She then squinted at the varmint. Say, ain't you the pony that nearly got us killed at the Wonderbolt Academy? Twilight frowned and searched her memory. Indeed, the pony's face was burned into her mind with the caption, Life Threat. Yes, she is, the unicorn whispered, but what is she doing with Blitz? Rarity chimed in, having noticed that Lightning was inching rather far under the stallion's free foreleg as well. I'd say she's butting in, she muttered. He's a bit too attractive for his own good. Careful, Blitz. Nah, Applejack said across Twilight. Y'all don't think he's sampling a herd to blah. Y'all don't think he's sampling the herd, do ya? I certainly hope not, but just look at him. He ain't paying much attention to them. I'd be surprised if he even notices. This was true. He hadn't called either of his companions to sit with him. They both asked, and he'd allowed it. He'd better tread lightly, or else we'll have to have a long chat about loyalty. Twilight was getting uncomfortable being caught in the crossfire of the very sort of conversation she was hoping to avoid. It was hard enough accepting that certain ponies might be involved with certain other ponies. It was another issue entirely to have to witness her friends discuss it. Their pink friend blew through clenching teeth and extended lips at them. Shh! It's starting! Twilight blew out a sigh of relief. No, wasn't that hopeful. Thank you, Pinky, she whispered. Shh! And so they shushed. The lights moved momentarily from the clouds floating lazily around the arena to the table set on the innermost ring, where the host, Vinyl Scratch, and the gray earth pony from before sat with microphones before them. The unicorn focused at the monitor set in front of her, while the earth pony looked at the microphone in one hoof and read from the paper in the other. Good evening, everypony, she said. Her voice boomed loudly and clearly to even the furthest member of the audience. If there was one thing the mayors could agree on, it was that sound quality was important. Unfortunately, there was only one thing they could agree on. The rest resulted in not-so-kind-hearted banter. Welcome to the... do I have to say it? Lionel turned from the monitor, agitated. Yes, just read the script, Tabby. I read over it and everything. Her voice came through quieter, but audible enough for the audience to hear. That does not reassure me, Lionel. You never were good at writing. If you don't read it, I'm posting that painting I made outside my store. What painting? You know, one of you on the couch with your hair down, and a thumping sound reverberated through the stadium as the microphone collided with the unicorn's head. However, Octavia returned to her refined posture before Vinyl's head hit the cloud. As I was saying, welcome to the Laser Light Showdown. The way she spoke suggested that the words caused her physical pain. My name is Octavia, and the pony lying on the floor next to me is Vinyl Scratch. Vinyl, why don't you pick yourself up and tell the audience what they're in for? The DJ grumbled and climbed back onto her chair. Yeah. Any pony ever tell you hit like a filly? I've taken bigger hits from sips of hard lemonade. The audience is listening, Vinyl. They haven't learned how to tune you out yet? Ow! Stop that! Fine, okay, I'll do it. She grabbed her microphone. She grabbed her microphone in her magic. All right, everypony, how are we feeling? A modest roar answered her. Feeling the fierce grin on her face, she nodded and beckoned the crowd to continue. Octavia, meanwhile, clutched her head in pain. All right, glad to hear it. So is Tabby. Right, Tabby? My head. Hey, I told her to go easy on the line, folks. I swear. Anyway, thank you for coming to the Laser Light Showdown. We've got to do a Crush's Flyer some justice with a competition that's actually worth bragging about. Is everypony hype? The yells indicated that they were, in fact, hype. That, or they were growing impatient. Maybe both. Before we start, I hear we have a special guest in the audience. Those elements of harmony are with us tonight. How about that? Not the elements, Final. Just the ponies who wield them and saved our skin a few times. Thank you for all that, by the way. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Just so you know, we set up our opening event to a song in your honor. Oh, is it that Danny Brittle fella? I can tolerate that one. You know it, Tabby. Don't get your hopes up, though. It's the closest thing to your taste of music we'll be getting tonight. Some of these ponies seem to have the right idea about music. You mean noise? I'll get my earplugs. Go for it. Meanwhile, let's get this party started. The racers launched from a hole in the cloud in the air. The jumbled mess of flying equines quickly filled onto the safer lining of the The jumbled mess of flying equines quickly filed into the safer line circling the stadium. Varying from 1 to 3 ponies thick, it was suggested by Octavia in the beginning that they be placed in an orderly line before hoof, but they were smuckered flank to flank in the damned pit. 2 members of the crew quickly set up a checkered finish along the lines of the safety floor of the stadium. The skill level became apparent almost immediately. A few contestants that hardly managed to take off were left cruising uneasily at the back of the pack. A majority got themselves together and pushed on to the crowded center. The upper crust managed to pull ahead and out of the melee of shoveling. They were the skilled flyers. And then there were the Pegasus that finished 3 laps in seconds only, to slow down and trail the twice-lapped stragglers. Among them were Rainbow Dash and Soren. They seemed to have come to the same conclusion regarding exerting themselves. Seeing as the majority of the competition had been left in whatever dust may have accumulated this high above the ground, they could just take it easy for a moment. After all, sprinting through the air for 20 laps would be stupid. Not hard, just stupid. Dash rolled onto her back, revealing in the sensation of flight. She spent far too much time cooped up in that stadium, the cool night air rippling off her feathers pleasantly. "Oh yeah," she said without any lost breath. "That's the stuff." Soren grinned and flew a few feet behind her, flying at what would have been breakneck speeds for any pony that didn't speed for a living. He could have kept up her previous pace for much longer, but the chance to just chill with Rainbow Dash was too much to pass up. The view wasn't bad at all, either. That being said, he still found himself awestruck at her skill. Soren had to remind himself that this Pegasus wasn't just some jaw-dropping bombshell, but she was also right on the same level as himself and his fellow professional flyers. She pulled off the same speed he had without even streamlining her body. She could have looked more unprofessional, and that just made her look even cooler. "I wish more of our shows were at times like these," he said hesitantly. "This just feels better than sweating to death under the sun." "Totally," she responded, still feeling a bit odd to be just chatting with Soren of the Wonderbolts, as if it was nothing. No big crowd around to block her, no bodyguards threateningly magical electric shots to supposedly obsessive fans. It was just like they were normal friends. And in recent times, she had become very comfortable in the field of friendship. The song had barely gotten started at this point. The smooth, synchronized melody slowly built itself up while the drums thumped speedily through every pony's ears and hearts. Perhaps a normal pony would finish 1 lap just as the song kicked in. Despite his wishes to hang out and talk with Dash, Soren had done little but fly nearby while watching her. Now, this was no trivial or boring occurrence. On the contrary, he could do this all night and be happy. However, he felt like trying his luck a bit. "I'm not stupid with mares. I can do this. Just say something." The stallion opened his mouth to speak. He really wanted to, but nothing came out. Then the winds howling directly to the back of his throat caused a minor choking fit. When he looked up, he found not the mare he was crushing on, but some brown stallion trying desperately to pass him. Dash was already way beyond him. "Okay, what the hell is he doing?" Soren thought. His form was awful, his strokes were inefficient, and his mane could not be salvaged by the best of hairdressers. "Dude, are you trying to get yourself killed?" he said to the panting Pegasus. What? The stallion answered through heavy breathing. "Because you're gonna pass out at any moment now. That is, unless you don't crash into something before that happens." Upon further examination, the stallion turned out to be the one he had seen talking to Dash in the lounge. He was laughing. She was laughing. He was not. The word "dumbass" had been thrown around a lot, followed by him insisting that it was "dumbbell." Shut up. What do you know?" "You'd be surprised, kid." The Wonderbolt shook his head, smiling. So, you gonna tell me why you're killing yourself trying to win the warm-up? Dumbbell rolled his eyes. However, the moment caused his flight to waver. He wobbled like a blank plank roll trying to fly too high. Because if I don't beat her, he motioned to Dash, who stole glances at his pathetic struggle, my partner will never let me hear the end of it. Soren gave an understanding nod. I can relate. Don't you think she'll be more pissed off if you're too tired to actually compete? What? This is nothing. I could... He swallowed a moment, and the momentary lack of air evicted several gaps afterwards. I could do this all day. Right, he said, trying not to laugh. You do realize that her and I are at least 2 or 3 laps ahead of every pony else, right? Dumbbell managed a feeble grin. Nah, me. I've been keeping up this whole time. That would be impressive if you could stand afterwards. Uh-huh. Excuse me for a second. Soren accelerated a bit to catch up with Dash. He now had a topic to discuss with her. She looked back at him, catching up. You were lagging behind back there, she nodded. I was trying to get that guy to not hurt himself. You a friend of yours? Psh, sure, we go way back. She wasn't even being sarcastic. Not at all. Yeah, I figured. Well, he looks like he really wants that final spot on the stage. She grinned. Yeah, I bet it would break his little heart if he couldn't get it. Oh, come on, Dash. That's cruel. Why not let him have it? Jess gave him a skeptical look. Why do you care so much about him? I don't really, he said without betraying his panic. She didn't approve, and that was unaccepting. Just wanted to talk about something. This straightforward flying is putting me to sleep. Heh, I get you. Well, he can have it if he beats me. The way he talks, that should be no problem. That's not happening, Soren thought. He's nowhere near my league, let alone yours. He stole another glance at the stallion. His mane appeared to be slicked back by his sweat. Soren cringed and turned back to the mare. Well, it'll be no fun if we won this race just flying. How about we spice it up? Spice it up? She asked. Her knee-jerk reaction would be to deny any suggestion that would allow that jerk to win anything. However, she was hardly in a position to deny outright a suggestion from one of her idols. You know, give these ponies a show. If the thing is going to allow professionals like us, it's only right we give ourselves a handicap. He called me a professional? Awesome! Alright, how do you like this? Well, this girl's going to be a problem. She looks familiar. Was she at the academy? The greenish mare leaned over to the blue fur she was leaning against to see a yellow pony she had found where she sat down. She couldn't risk more than a glance. Her eyes widened and her head returned to her seat. Is that freaking Spitfire? Isn't she announcing or something? Ugh. Lightning Dust stole another look. This time she caught the Wonderbolt looking back. Spitfire scowled. Is that Lightning Dust? Is that Lightning Dust pony that almost pushed Dash away? What is she doing here? Whatever, thought Lightning. I'm not letting her get in my way. She won't stop me. When I want something, I get it. The loud pony behind them crossed her arms and pouted. I wish you two would stop shouting. I can't hear the music. How in Equestria can you hear anything but the music, Pinky? Rarity asked with her hooves lightly clamped over her ears. She preferred music with a little more piano and a little less bass. You all have terrible hearing. Blitzy is right next to them, and he can't hear them either. Her oath pony then turned her action to the flyers. Ooh, look at Dashy. How is she doing that? Every pony was already looking. That was the point of being there. But upon closer examination, Rainbow Dash was doing something odd. Her altitude fluctuated by several feet with each flap of her wing. Singular. She was literally flying with one wing held tightly on her back. Nice, Blitz proclaimed as he returned his forelegs to his lap, much to the displeasure of the two mares they had been around. Show these ponies who they're up against. Suddenly, a light blue stallion overtook her flank first. His legs were stretched out and his wings were flying normally, but it was his backside that had met the wind. Spitfire grinned and shook her head. Damn it, Soren. A hearty laugh boomed through the speakers of the music. Oh yeah, looks like we got a couple of show ponies out there. Those are some fancy moves. What else you got? Don't encourage them, Final. Some pony will get hurt, Octavia warned. Doesn't matter. They signed a waiver. Go for it, guys. Right on cue, Dash started rolling in the air so fast she looked like a rainbow-colored comet. Soren broke into a series of front flips, all while flying in loops. Due to the stunts, they lost considerable speed and ceased to overtake their opponents. Twilight and company found themselves thoroughly engrossed with the aerial antics. Blitz and Spitfire laughed at their respective partners as well. However, the greenish flyer did not share the merriment. Come on, come on, Lightning muttered, leaning forward in her seat. She thought ahead about the race's importance. The majority of the audience was not versed in flying. Throw some flashy magic and sharp turns at them, and they'll basically be satisfied. No pony would bother remembering the early performances. They wouldn't be remarkable. Later on, as skill increased, the audience would be growing tired and care less about who wins. When you get right down to it, the last performance will have the greatest effect on the audience. The final act could win anything as long as it was halfway decent. Dumbo panted his way around the turning edge closest to his partner. He was still behind Dash and Soren, which did not make her happy. As much was apparent thanks to the eye contact, which, in an instant, spewed enough death and fire into the stallion's unfortunate face to encourage a little acceleration. His muscles screamed. He might have too. It was hard to tell with all the music. That was a pretty cool move, Soren, Dash said to her idol. They had reached the final lap, so they toned down the tricks. Thanks, he replied. I'm thinking of going pro. Really? She laughed. You think you can make it? I hope so. I've already got the suit. The stallion congratulated himself inwardly. All right, ice broken. When this is over, I can lay on my moves. The duo was rather distracted. One was content with fun flight, while the other was busy rehearsing pickup lines. If you were a contract, you'd be the fine print. No, that's stupid. Did you sit in a pile of sugar because you've got one sweet? No, not that one. With all eyes on the two ponies doing tricks and their eyes nowhere in particular, few noticed when a struggling brown dot as he passed them. I bit my lip. Would you kiss it better? Oh, what am I, 12? I wonder if they sell food here. Maybe Pinky smuggled in some cupcakes. Or a whole cake. I could go for a whole cake right now. I heard you like harmony. Let's make music together. Nah, only Marisolist stallions can pull that one off. If I take a nap now, might I be able to sleep tonight? Who am I kidding? I can always sleep. 3 changelings walk into a bar. And there goes first place, everypony, Bino announced with no lost energy. To the brown guy. Whoever that is. You got that, Tabby? Yes, dear. It's right there on the sheet. The gray mare responded too far to be properly picked up by the microphone. Weird. I would have thought those two doing all the cool stuff. Hopefully they're not tuckered out already. We've got a long night ahead of us. Dash blinked as she proceeded what the announcer had just said. Wow, I didn't know he had it in him. The mayor glanced to Storin, who mumbled to himself in words other than equestrian. Some pony beat a Wonderbolt? Some pony's about to beat a Wonderbolt, she thought with a sly grin. The black and white stripes was rushing to meet at the end of the 20th lap. The blue scion only managed to pull out of his trance when he noticed the topic of the discussion with himself pass in front of his face. Huh? Why is she in such a rush? Second and third, Rainbow Dash and Soren. In that order. Vinyls' hooves tapped to the table to the rhythm of the drums. The inartistic echo resulted in the rest of the audience, but she didn't particularly care. Wow, he thought. Third? Glad I'm representing the team out here. Dash and Soren slowed and started into their descent into the nearby stadium. Spitfire, Blitz, and Lightning were waiting for them near the finish. Nearby, Dumbbell was splattered out on a set of chairs. Nice going, the female Wonderbolt chimed. Glad I can count on you. Quit it. I was having fun. Third ain't bad. He looked to the others with a face that said, Do you see what I have to put up with? Blitz laughed and drew his clone closer to his foreleg. Well, it's no second. He turned to her. Nice flying, by the way. Dash snorted. It was nothing. Oh, I know. I don't know why you two are bragging, Lightning interjected. We got first. The Rainbow Stallion rolled his eyes. Yeah, whatever. Meanwhile, where did that guy get to? Dude, she said, poking him and pointing. Check it out. Dumbo was out like a light, like Equestria's worst batter, like the color chartreuse last spring, like ponies saying radical or bogus, like Dumbo after trying to outfly a Wonderbolt and the Wonderbolt's favorite potential recruit. There was no other simile more pure than that. Soren walked up to him and poked his chest. The corpse gave no response. Is he gonna be alright to fly? He asked, still poking. Lightning could almost care. Sure, he can rest up while we wait. We're going last after all. So much for caring about his safety, Spitfire whispered to Dash. As long as she gives in a rest with the tornadoes, we're good. She answered. Besides, that guy needs to be taken down a peg. How far down do you want him? The Wonderbolt asked incredulously. About 6 feet. She caught a laugh with pinched lips before she could betray the conversation. Dash grinned cheekily, only fed into its will to escape. That was terrible. I thought it was pretty good, interjected Blitz quietly as he stuck his head in between the two. Dash looked at her smiling. See, he gets it. She did see. She saw the stallion's face directly in front of her. Had he turned, she would have felt his breath on her snout. His eyes looked like a very nice shade of dark pink. They held no femininity. Oh no, there was a fire in those eyes. And I'm gonna get some fire all over the rest of him, Spitfire thought. Ew. Just in time to interrupt any additional inward innuendos, Dash flew off to where Blitz had been sitting, with her clone on her tail. Lightning, upon seeing the stallion leave, was quick to follow. This left the two Wonderbolts alone with the unconscious rookie. The mare stood stupidly with her head extending, while the stallion kept poking Dumbo. This is pretty fun. Hey, Spitz, come try this. Damn it, Soren. Every pony, give our contestants a round of applause. Someone give Tabby an aspirin, or maybe a few shots. It will take more than a few drums and that synchronizer to get to me. The night has just begun, my friends. Maybe we should get her both. Preemptive medication or something. Is it bad to take those two at the same time? The applause had begun soon after Vinyl's request had died down, and they pondered the questions. Yes! Shouted one purple dot in the crowd. Vinyl shrugged. Shots it is, then. Put that bottle away, Vinyl. We're working. Don't be such a buzzkill. The popping of the cork echoed through the stadium. We're gonna take a little break so our contestants can breathe. You all can go to the John, get a snack or something. See you in a little bit, every pony. That was the end of chapter 9. Have a wonderful day. Bye.